All right, welcome to Express News. We tell you the 100 Express News from all around the world. Preparations are in full swing as India gears up for its 75th Republic Day celebrations on 26th of January. A 95-member French Foreign Legion contingent will march on the Kartavya Path in New Delhi on Republic Day. French President Emmanuel Macron will mark his presence as chief guest at the parade this year. A Russian delegation will also participate in India's Republic Day parade, represented by cadets from the Nakhimov Naval School and the St. Petersburg Cadet Corps of the Defense Ministry. Ahead of India's Republic Day, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacted with tableau artists, National Cadet Corps and National Service Scheme volunteers at his residence in New Delhi on Wednesday. Addressing the gathering, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said the next 25 years will be crucial for the country and for the youth. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also said that this year the Republic Day parade will be even more special because of two reasons. Firstly, this will be 75th Republic Day, and secondly, it is dedicated to the women's power of the nation. Further, Prime Minister Modi said that today is National Girl Child Day and it's the day to praise the courage, spirit and achievements of daughters. The 78th President of United Nations General Assembly, Dennis Francis, is on visit to India and held talks with External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar in New Delhi today. The UNGA President said UN said reform of the UN Security Council is absolutely necessary and expects India to take the lead in bridging differences amid challenging times. Calling India as one of UN's oldest partners, Francis appreciated India for sending largest numbers of peacekeeping forces to the UN. India's President Draupadi Murmu inaugurated Kaushal Bhavan, a new building of the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship in New Delhi. The President also visited the exhibition and interacted with beneficiaries of various government's initiatives. The doors of Ram Temple in Indian holy city of Ayodhya thrown open to the general public after the consecration ceremony. On day 2, enthusiasm among devotees remained high as large numbers of them visited the temple on Wednesday. Vandiur Mariamman Tippakulam temple is lit up with colorful lights ahead of the annual float festival in the temple town of India, Madurai. The festival is celebrated in Tamil month of Thai, which is from January 14 to February 15. Every year on January 24, India observes National Girl Child Day. The day is observed to highlight the various challenges faced by girls in every sphere of their lives. It promotes girls' education and their basic rights for the overall development of society. The 7th edition of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Pariksha Pe Charcha 2024 will be held on the 29th of this month. Record number of over 22.6 million students have registered to participate in this edition. Indian state of Uttar Pradesh commemorates its 75th Foundation Day, known as UP Divas, with grand celebrations on Wednesday. The state's culture department has meticulously prepared for a series of programs scheduled for this momentous occasion. And the Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra reached Kadhai Kodara in Kanker district of Indian state of Chhattisgarh. The local communities responded to it with great enthusiasm and active engagement. The Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra has also reached Narnaul city in the Indian state of Haryana. Various stalls showcasing central government schemes were established where government officials provided comprehensive explanations of the initiatives to the villagers. India is on a path to become the world's largest producer of lentil in the crop year 2023-24. The projected output this year is around 1.6 million tonnes. The Indian toy industry witnessed remarkable growth in FY 2022-23 in comparison to FY 2014-15, with a decline in imports by 52% and rise in exports by 239%. Indian stock markets end in green today as Sensex jumps 689.76 points to settle at 71,060.31. Nifty rises 215.2 points to close at 21,454. Rupee gains 3 paise to settle at 83.12 against the US dollar. Gold future maturing on 5th February stood at rupees 62,102 per 10 grams on Multi-Commodity Exchange of India Limited. Silver futures maturing on 5th March stood at rupees 71,620 per kilogram on the MCX. Brent crude oil was traded at around $80.03 per barrel in the international market. Asian markets closed on a cautious note and traded lower on Wednesday. Japan's Nikkei loses 291.09 points to close at 36,226.48. Inflation vary. Cubans are gearing up for a new wave of inflation after the Cuban government last week rolled out details of an austerity plan. Cuba's government has announced wholesale fuel prices will double next month. Freight transportation may jump between 40% and 60% in March. German train drivers began the longest strikes in the nation's modern history. Industry experts have estimated that the strike will cost the country up to $110 million per day. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar concluded his Nigeria visit on Tuesday with an address to the Nigeria-India Business Council. He said that investment and trade are at the heart of partnership between two countries. A Russian military transport plane crashed on Wednesday in Russia's Belgorod region. The plane was carrying 65 Ukrainian prisoners of war said to be exchanged in a swap alongside 6 crew members. Donald Trump cruised to victory in New Hampshire's Republican presidential contest on Tuesday, defeating his only remaining rival, Nikki Haley. President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris held an abortion rights rally in Virginia, but Biden was repeatedly interrupted by protesters for his support to Israel in its war with Hamas. In the latest sign of heightened tensions on the Korean peninsula, North Korea fired multiple cruise missiles towards the sea off its west coast on Wednesday. Turkey's parliament approved Sweden's NATO membership bid on Tuesday following more than 4 hours of debate. The US military carried out more strikes in Yemen on Wednesday. The strikes destroyed 2 Houthi anti-ship missiles that were aimed at Red Sea and were preparing to launch. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has urged countries to avoid escalation in the Red Sea, where Houthis have been attacking commercial vessels amid the ongoing conflict in Gaza. Risks of broader regional escalation in the Israel-Hamas conflicts have increased as Israeli government spokesperson said that Tel Aviv will not agree to a ceasefire deal with Hamas. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said on Tuesday that Israel would push on with fighting in Gaza until absolute victory, despite suffering one of its toughest days of the military offensive with 24 soldiers killed. White House spokesperson John Kirby said the US would support a longer humanitarian pause in Gaza to ensure release of Israeli hostages and delivery of aid. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said Russian missiles hit Ukraine's 2 largest cities, killing 18 people and injuring over 130. A wave of Russian missiles hit Ukraine's 2 largest cities on Tuesday. Luxembourg's Foreign Minister Javier Bettel said it will be hard to get Hungary to back more financial aid to Ukraine at a European Union summit next week. Germany's Finance Minister Christian Lindner said that country cannot keep up Ukraine's defense capabilities on its own in the long term and that others will need to increase bilateral contributions. US Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen reassured Ukrainian Prime Minister that the Biden administration was committed to securing $11.8 billion in budget support to Kyiv as part of a supplemental funding request. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken on Tuesday pledged $45 million in additional financial help to fight conflict and bring stability to coastal West Africa, where insecurity linked to jihadist insurgencies has increased in recent years. Ahead of 2024 general elections, Pakistan People's Party chairman Bilawal Bhutto Zardari said that he will not seek political retribution from opponents if elected Prime Minister. Protesting farmers blocked roads across France on Tuesday. That also led to a fatal accident as their unions urged the government to ease the consumer prices and reduce environmental regulations. Mongolia's capital, Ulaanbaatar, witnessed a powerful gas explosion on Wednesday, scattering fiery sparks across the vicinity. Over 600 firefighters and 100 vehicles joined forces to effectively quell the blaze. At least 6 lives were lost, including 3 firefighters, in the aftermath of the explosion involving truck carrying 60 tons of liquefied natural gas, as reported by Mongolia's emergency authorities. An ocean cleaning awareness campaign was held in South India's Chennai on the theme "Swim for the Ocean, Save the Ocean." The campaign aims to raise awareness about keeping the beaches clean and reducing plastic pollution. Rural Peru experiencing flooding due to a river burst, causing crops to be devastated and residents to wade through waist-deep water. Peru's Huánuco and Arequipa areas were heavily impacted with landslides and swollen rivers, causing roads damage and leaving thousands isolated. Colombian authorities are battling with fires on a hill in Bogota, a capital city of Colombia. The fire was confined to 2.5 hectares, but the height and natural topography of the hills have complicated the efforts of the teams. Global warming is causing droughts in Brazil's semi-arid region, the country's scientists have warned. In the coming years, the drought-affected area of Brazil is expected to triple from 5,000 square kilometers to 15,000 square kilometers. Landslide in China's southwestern city of Zhaotong affects over 900 residents. People have been displaced and relocated to shelters as the death toll rose to 31. Over 1,000 search and rescue personnel have been mobilized as the city continues to battle with freezing temperatures and snow. A giraffe named Benito departed on a 50-hour road journey through Mexico as he headed to his new safari home. It follows pressure from activists about alleged poor conditions the animal was kept in. The giraffe took a 50-hour journey to reach to his new destination, where he was monitored by veterinarians. Benito arrived in Ciudad Juarez in May 2023 but has reportedly lived alone in a small cage for the past 8 months. A wheelchair-bound British adventurer, Darren Edwards, unveiled an upcoming world record attempt to sit-ski across the South Pole, all in aid of vital research into a cure for spinal cord injuries. Edwards will use an adapted skiing device, a sit-ski, which features specially designed crutches attached to the rider's hands, relying on the upper body, shoulders and arms to create movement. Edwards will attempt to travel a distance of 333 kilometers during the expedition in December 2024. Traditional Japanese dolls, flanked by tens of thousands of small hanging decorations, are drawn visitors to a hot spring area west of Tokyo. The henna dolls displayed is at the center of the March 3 Girls Festival, in which Japanese pray for health and fortune of girls. The miniature figures are dressed as court nobles seated on a tiered platform. China's Wuhan city has now kicked off the service of driverless taxis after a new batch of intelligent vehicles hit the road on December 29 last year. For now, the facility of driverless taxis are only authorized to operate in 12 areas in the city. Belgian citizen Patricia Lefranc, 59, features in a new campaign by Rankin and charity Acid Survivors Trust International, launched on January 22nd, seeking to raise awareness about the devastating effects of acid violence. The campaigner flicks through a sleek book of pictures of her shot by British fashion photographer Rankin. The largest doll's house made for the British monarchs to mark its 100th anniversary with a special exhibition throughout 2024 at Windsor Castle. Built and furnished between 1921 and 1924, the doll's house was seen by visitors at the 1924 Empire exhibition and has been on display at Windsor Castle since 1925. British musician Mark Knopfler is selling off a large part of his extensive guitar collection at a London auction, which part of the proceeds going to the charity. The collection, including 122 items from Knopfler's 50-year career, is displayed by Christie's auction house at pre-sale exhibition ahead of the January 31 sale. Britain's royal Prince Edward arrived in South Africa on January 22 on a working visit to support the country's wildlife and bird life conservation. Prince Edward toured the Pretoria National Botanical Gardens accompanied by the country's Minister of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment, Barbara Creecy. The 2024 Paris Spring-Summer Hot Quarter show begins, the show to take place till 25th of January. Christian Dior designer Maria Grazia Chiuri threw the spotlight on more fabric at the Hot Quarter label's Spring-Summer show, used it to make short-sleeved coats and belted trench coats. Movie nominations for the Oscars are out. The films Poor Things, Killers of the Flower Moon and Barbie have done well in Oscar nominations. Oscars remaining Best Picture nominees were American Fiction, The Holdovers, Past Lives, The Zone of Interest and French film Anatomy of a Fall. The Christopher Nolan-directed biographical atomic bomb thriller Oppenheimer sweeps Oscar categories, securing 30 nominations. Japanese audiences can watch Oppenheimer in cinemas from March 29, distribution company Bitters End said on Wednesday. The release of movie Oppenheimer was cancelled in Japan after memes mixing visuals from the film with atomic blasts provoked anger from people in Japan. Naomi Watts, Diane Lane, Demi Moore and Molly Ringwald celebrated the release of their new television series Feud, Caput vs. the Swans in the New York. Snoop Dogg and the comedic cast of The Underdogs premiered at Amazon Prime's premiere. The film follows former professional football star Jason 2J's Jennings as he takes on coaching duties for a youth football team. Actors Andrew Scott, Paul Mescal and Claire Foy was welcomed by screaming fans as they arrived on the red carpet for the premiere of All of Us Strangers. All of Us Strangers movie is a mystery drama about love and loss, will be released in UK cinemas on Friday. India's western state of Maharashtra leads the medals tally at 6th Khelo India Youth Games with 18 gold, 18 silver and 21 bronze. Indian women's team beat Poland in the inaugural edition of the FIH Women Hockey World Cup in Muscat by 5-4. The Fit India mission will launch the Fit India Champions podcast series. The series will showcase the remarkable accomplishments and inspiring stories of India's sporting heroes. Neeraj Chopra and Sheetal Devi will be featured in the Fit India Champions podcast series. Rohan Bopanna became the oldest #1 player in tennis history as he and partner Matthew Ebden qualified for the Australian Open men's doubles semi-final. India's Satvik Sairaj, Ranki Reddy and Chirag Shetty reclaimed the top spot in the Badminton World Federation men's doubles rankings. Liverpool and Egypt forward Mohamed Salah is expected to return to play in 3 to 4 weeks if there are no setbacks in his recovery from injury. Al Nassr announced the postponement of their 2 scheduled friendlies in China due to Cristiano Ronaldo being injured. The Portuguese superstar is struggling with a muscle tissue. Madrid will host the Spanish Grand Prix from 2026 to 2035 on a new city circuit around the capital's IFEMA exhibition center. 2 young Venezuelans this month signed contracts for United States Major League Baseball, becoming the highest priced prospects from the South American country in years. Eight-time world champion Stephanie Gilmore will take a one-year break from full-time competition for the 2024 World Surf League Championship Tour to refreshing herself both physically and mentally. All right, that's all in this edition of Express News. Stay tuned for more news and updates.